The first time I saw Maya Torres cry, I thought we had finally broken her. How spectacularly wrong I was. My name is Vorthak Neem, Senior Intelligence Analyst for the Galactic Hegemony Council, and I have spent the last 3 cycles studying these peculiar creatures called humans. 3 cycles of careful observation, meticulous documentation, and what I believe to be superior understanding. 3 cycles of watching them stumble through the galaxy like lost younglings, bumping into every established protocol and somehow still breathing. But Maya Torres, she was different, and that difference would cost us everything. The day it all began, she sat in Interrogation Chamber 7, hands folded neatly in her lap, tears streaming down her pale face, silent, broken. Or so we thought. The hegemony had just informed her that her home colony, New Brisbane, had been selected for administrative restructuring, a polite way of saying we were relocating her people to make room for a Zephyrian mining operation. Standard procedure, Council Director Thesic had announced that morning, his 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Humans are adaptable. They will adjust. Adaptable. That word would haunt me for the rest of my existence. Maya had requested an audience with the Council, claiming she had alternative proposals for the mining rights. The other analysts had laughed. Cax9 had even placed bets on how quickly she would submit to our authority. After all, what could one grieving human possibly offer that would interest the most powerful governing body in 7 sectors? I should have paid more attention to the fact that Maya Torres was not just any human. She was Dr. Maya Torres, former Director of Quantum Engineering at the Terra Luna Research Facility, the same facility that had been mysteriously destroyed 6 months earlier in what officials called an unfortunate experimental accident. The same facility where Maya had lost her daughter, Elena. But grief makes beings weak. We reasoned. Trauma clouds judgment. Pain breaks the spirit. This was established science, documented across dozens of species. Humans, despite their odd resilience, surely followed the same patterns. We were so confident in our assessment that we barely paid attention when Maya began speaking. "Honorable Council," she said, her voice soft and trembling. "I understand your decision regarding New Brisbane. I know that fighting it would be futile." Thesic's mandibles clicked in approval. "Wisdom. Your species shows promise when guided properly." Maya nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "However, I do have something to offer, something that might interest the hegemony more than a simple mining operation." The chamber fell silent. I noticed that Maya's hands had stopped shaking. "Continue," Thesic commanded. "Before the incident at Terra Luna, my team was working on something revolutionary. A new application of quantum field manipulation that could theoretically extract resources from celestial bodies without traditional mining methods." Cagas-9 leaned forward, suddenly interested. Resource extraction without the massive infrastructure costs of traditional mining. Even the Zephyrians would pay handsomely for such technology. "The process," Maya continued, "involves creating controlled gravitational fluctuations within a planetary body's core. These fluctuations can separate and concentrate specific minerals, allowing for extraction through targeted quantum tunneling." "Impossible," scoffed Zeth Prime, our chief scientific advisor. "Gravitational manipulation on that scale would require energy output equivalent to a small star." Maya smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a pleasant expression. That's what everyone said about human flight once. Or faster-than-light travel, or, she paused, her eyes growing distant, or bringing someone back from quantum displacement. The silence stretched uncomfortably. Finally, Thesic spoke. "You speak in hypotheticals, human. Do you have proof of this technology?" "I have the complete research data from Terra Luna. The theoretical framework is sound. The only reason we never proceeded to full testing was," her voice caught slightly, "was because of safety concerns." "Safety concerns." Zeth Prime's scales rippled with amusement. How refreshingly primitive. Maya's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly.
"Yes."
"Safety concerns. The process requires what we called a cascading quantum resonance field. If the field destabilizes during extraction, the gravitational fluctuations could theoretically compound." "Compound how?" I found myself asking, though I was not sure why. Picture dropping a stone into perfectly still water, Maya said, her eyes meeting mine. Now picture the ripples getting larger instead of smaller, and faster, and more powerful, until eventually she did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. Thesic's 4 eyes narrowed. You are suggesting this technology could be weaponized. I'm suggesting this technology is dangerous, Maya replied carefully, which is why the research was classified at the highest levels, and why I'm the only person who has complete access to it. The implications hung in the air like toxic spores. A technology that could revolutionize resource extraction, or potentially destroy entire worlds, and only one human possessed the knowledge to make it work. What do you propose? Thesic asked. Maya straightened in her chair, and for a moment the broken, grieving woman vanished. In her place sat someone else entirely, someone harder, someone who had looked into the abyss and decided to stare back. A trade, she said simply. I provide you with the quantum extraction technology. In exchange, New Brisbane remains untouched and my people receive full colonial protection status under hegemony law. The council erupted in clicks, hisses, and electronic chatter. Colonial protection status was almost unheard of for human settlements. It meant complete autonomy, military protection, and most importantly, the right to refuse any future administrative restructuring. Preposterous. Cax-9 buzzed. Humans do not negotiate with the hegemony. Humans are guided by the hegemony. Then I suppose you don't need the technology, Maya said mildly. I'll just hold on to it. Forever. Until it dies with me. Thesic raised a clawed appendage for silence. You would doom your own species to deny us this knowledge. My species. Maya laughed, and there was something sharp and bitter in the sound. Director, 6 months ago, I watched my daughter get torn apart by a quantum field because some bureaucrat decided our safety protocols were inefficient. 3 days ago, you informed my people that their homes, their lives, everything they had built was inconvenient for your mining operation. My species seems perfectly capable of being doomed without my help. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. However, Maya continued, I am not unreasonable. I'm simply motivated to protect what little I have left. Zeth Prime's scales had gone completely pale. The energy requirements alone would be staggering. No single facility could generate sufficient power for large-scale gravitational manipulation. You are right, Maya agreed. It would require multiple synchronized generators, or, she paused, considering her words carefully, or a single source of massive gravitational potential, like, hypothetically, a moon. My blood went cold. You are talking about using a moon as a power source. I'm talking about using a moon as a resonance amplifier, Maya corrected. The gravitational field of a properly positioned satellite could boost the quantum field effect exponentially. Of course, the calculations would have to be perfect. One miscalculation and the resonance feedback could… She trailed off, looking genuinely troubled for the first time. Could what? Thesic demanded. Could destabilize the moon's orbital mechanics? Theoretically. Cax-9's wing cases buzzed nervously. Define destabilize. Maya was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Have you ever seen a moon crack like an egg? The chamber fell silent except for the gentle hum of the environmental systems. Outside the massive viewports, I could see Hegemony Prime's 3 moons hanging in the void like silver pearls. Beautiful, eternal, untouchable. Suddenly they looked very fragile. Thesic leaned back in his command throne, all 4 eyes fixed on the small human sitting across from him. You are either the most valuable asset we have encountered in decades, or the most dangerous threat. Why not both? Maya asked softly. The director's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement or annoyance. Very well, Dr. Torres. You have our attention. But understand this. The hegemony does not negotiate from weakness. We will require a demonstration. A demonstration? Proof that your technology works as advertised. Show us a successful extraction, and we will consider your terms. Maya nodded slowly. What did you have in mind? Zeth Prime activated a holographic display showing the hegemony's territorial map. There is a mining world in the outer colonies, Kepler 442c, rich in rare Earth deposits, but difficult to extract due to the planet's unstable core. The Zephyrians have been demanding access for months. Perfect, Maya said, though her smile looked strained. When would you like the demonstration? Immediately, Thesic replied. We will provide you with a research vessel and whatever equipment you require. But Dr. Tor, his voice dropped to a menacing growl. If this is some elaborate human deception, if you attempt to betray the hegemony's trust, the consequences will extend far beyond New Brisbane. I understand, Maya said quietly. And Director? The feeling is mutual. 3 days later, I found myself aboard the research vessel Nexus Prime, watching Maya Torres work. The ship's laboratory had been equipped with enough quantum field generators to power a small city, all arranged according to her precise specifications. She moved through the equipment with the practiced efficiency of someone who had done this before. Many times before. Her earlier tears and trembling hands were nowhere to be seen. This was Dr. Maya Torres, quantum engineer, and she was in her element. The key, she explained to the assembled team of hegemony scientists, is establishing a stable resonance frequency between the planetary core and the orbital amplifier. Too low and the field won't penetrate deep enough. Too high, catastrophic feedback, Seth Prime finished. Yes, we understand the basic principles. Maya paused in her calibrations, giving him a look that could have frozen hydrogen. Do you? Because the last time someone thought they understood the basic principles, they turned my daughter into quantum dust. The laboratory fell silent. I had reviewed the Terra Luna incident reports. Elena Torres, age 12, had been visiting her mother's laboratory when an unauthorized experiment had gone wrong. The quantum field had destabilized, creating what the reports euphemistically called molecular displacement. The child had simply ceased to exist. One moment she was there, laughing at something on her personal comm device. The next moment, empty space. My apologies, Zeth Prime said stiffly. Please continue. Maya turned back to her work, but I noticed her hands were shaking again. Just slightly. Just enough to remind everyone in the room that behind the brilliant scientist was a grieving mother who had lost everything. Or so we thought. Approaching Kepler 442t, announced Captain Rex 7 from the bridge. All systems nominal. Through the laboratory viewports, I could see the mining world growing larger. A brown, scarred planet surrounded by the industrial platforms and extraction rigs of a dozen different corporations, and orbiting high above Kepler 442c's single moon, a gray, cratered sphere roughly 1/8 the size of the planet itself. Perfect. Maya murmured, studying the orbital mechanics on her scanner. The gravitational relationship is almost ideal for resonance amplification. She began activating systems with swift, confident movements. The quantum field generators hummed to life, their energy output climbing steadily. External sensors showed the beginnings of gravitational fluctuations in the planet's upper atmosphere. Field strength at 12% and rising, reported Dr. Yitha 3, one of our quantum specialists. Resonance patterns are holding steady. Maya nodded absently. Her attention focused on a complex three-dimensional display showing the planet's internal structure. There, she said, pointing to a region deep within the core, compressed viridium deposits. Approximately 40,000 tons. More than enough for a meaningful demonstration. Remarkable. Zeth Prime admitted grudgingly. I can actually see the mineral concentrations forming. The gravitational manipulation is working exactly as theorized. Of course it is, Maya said flatly. I designed it. The extraction process continued for another hour. Slowly, carefully, tons of rare minerals were pulled from the planet's core and concentrated into easily harvestable pockets near the surface. It was, by any measure, a revolutionary advancement in resource extraction technology. I should have been taking detailed notes, recording every aspect of the procedure for later analysis. Instead, I found myself watching Maya Torres. There was something wrong, something I could not quite identify. She kept checking a secondary display that showed the moon's orbital position, not occasionally, constantly, as if she was timing something. Field strength approaching maximum safe parameters. Dr. Youth 3 announced. Recommend beginning the extraction phase. Not yet, Maya said sharply. The resonance hasn't reached optimal coherence. Dr. Torres, Zeth Prime interjected. Our readings indicate the field is fully stable. There's no need to increase power further. Maya's hands moved across the controls, and the field strength jumped another 10%. There's always room for improvement. That was when I realized what was bothering me. Maya Torres was not demonstrating her technology for the hegemony. She was testing it. Field strength now at 112% of calculated maximum, Dr. Yit 3 reported, his voice rising with concern. Gravitational fluctuations are approaching dangerous levels. Define dangerous, Maya said without looking away from her displays. Dr. Torres, I said slowly, perhaps we should consider a more conservative approach. She turned to me then, and I saw something in her eyes that made my blood chill. Pain. Vast, endless pain. But underneath that, burning like a fusion core, was something else entirely. Rage. Conservative approaches, she said softly, are for people who have something left to lose. The quantum field generators screamed as she pushed them past their rated capacity. The ship's hull groaned under the gravitational stress. And on the main display, Kepler 44-2c's moon began to show hairline fractures along its surface. Dr. Torres, Zeth Prime shouted, you are destabilizing the satellite. I know, she replied calmly. Shut it down now. Maya's hand hovered over the emergency cutoff switch. For a moment I thought she would listen. I thought sanity would prevail. Then she smiled. Dr. Maya Torres, Research Log 2047-3. Beginning Phase 2 of Gravitational Resonance Testing. Hypothesis cascading quantum feedback through orbital amplification. You are insane, Dr. Yuet 3 screamed. No, Maya said, her voice eerily calm. I'm thorough. She pushed the field strength to 150%. The moon cracked. Not metaphorically. Not gradually. One moment it was a solid celestial body, and the next moment a jagged fissure ran from pole to pole like lightning frozen in stone. Emergency jump, now. Captain Rex 7's voice echoed through the ship, but Maya was not finished. Computer, record the following, she said as chaos erupted around her. The cascading effect appears to be exponential. Field destabilization is creating a feedback loop through the orbital resonance. Gravitational fluctuations are amplifying rather than dissipating. The moon cracked again. And again. Huge chunks of rock began separating from the main body, trailing debris like bloody tears. Maya, please. I found myself shouting. People will die. She looked at me with those pain-filled eyes. And for a moment I saw the grieving mother again. The broken woman who had sat in our interrogation chamber just days before. People already died, she whispered. Then she activated the final phase. The moon did not just crack. It imploded. The gravitational feedback loop had reached critical resonance, turning the satellite's own mass against itself. In the space of 30 seconds, Kepler 442c's moon collapsed into a dense core roughly the size of a city block. Then that core exploded outward with the force of a solar flare. The shock wave hit the planet below like the fist of an angry god. Mining platforms vanished in bursts of superheated plasma. The carefully maintained industrial infrastructure of a dozen corporations was reduced to expanding clouds of metallic vapor, and through it all Maya Torres stood calmly at her control station, recording data. Fascinating, she murmured, as our ship's emergency jump drive charged. The exponential growth curve was even steeper than projected. Elena would have loved to see this. That was when I understood. Maya Torres had not lost control of her experiment. She had never intended to give the hegemony her technology. The demonstration had been exactly that. A demonstration not of what her quantum extraction process could accomplish, but of what she could do to anyone who threatened what remained of her world. The jump drive engaged, hurling us back into normal space light years away from the destruction. In the sudden silence that followed, Maya began shutting down her equipment with the same methodical precision she had used to activate it. Well, she said, conversationally, I believe that concludes our demonstration. Thasik's voice crackled through the communication system, distorted by rage and disbelief. You destroyed an entire moon, billions of credits in infrastructure. The Zephyrian government will demand compensation. Then perhaps, Maya replied, you should reconsider your mining operation on New Brisbane. The implications hit me like a physical blow. This had never been about saving her colony through negotiation. Maya Torres had just shown the hegemony exactly what would happen to anyone who threatened her people. You are threatening us, Zeth Prime said, his scales gone completely white. I'm educating you, Maya corrected. The same way you educated me about the unimportance of human lives. She sealed the last of her equipment and turned to face the assembled scientists. Her tears were gone. Her trembling hands were steady, and her eyes held the promise of broken moons and shattered worlds. The technology works exactly as advertised, she announced. As you have seen, it can extract resources from planetary cores with remarkable efficiency. It can also extract planetary cores from planets or moons from their orbits. Or, she paused meaningfully, orbital platforms from whatever unfortunate world they happen to be orbiting. The laboratory remained silent except for the soft hum of life support systems. Now, Maya continued, I believe we were discussing colonial protection status for New Brisbane. The silence stretched for exactly 47 seconds. I know because I was counting, trying to process what I had just witnessed. 47 seconds of perfect crystalline silence, while the greatest military power in 7 sectors tried to comprehend that a single grieving human had just redefined the meaning of negotiation. Then all hell broke loose. Arrest her. Thasik's voice exploded through the communication system. Security teams to Laboratory 7 immediately. Maya Torres did not even blink. I wouldn't, she said, conversationally, still calmly packing her equipment. I mean, you certainly could. But then you would have to explain to the Zephyrian High Command why their 40 billion credit mining operation just became an expanding cloud of superheated debris. The security teams that had been moving toward the laboratory suddenly stopped. I could practically hear the gears turning in Thasik's mind as he calculated the political ramifications of what had just occurred. You have committed an act of terrorism against hegemony interests, Zeth Prime snarled, his scales now shifting through colors I had never seen before. The council will not be blackmailed. Maya finally looked up from her work and her expression was one of genuine puzzlement. Blackmail? She repeated. Director Zeth Prime, I think you misunderstand the situation. I'm not blackmailing anyone. I'm simply renegotiating our previous agreement. By destroying a moon, by demonstrating the full capabilities of the technology you were so eager to acquire, Maya corrected. You wanted proof that quantum gravitational manipulation could revolutionize resource extraction. Well, congratulations. You just watched me extract an entire moon from its planetary system. Dr. Yu the Ether's mandibles were clicking so rapidly they sounded like rainfall on metal. The energy readings, the cascade effect. How did you maintain field coherence during the implosion phase? Practice, Maya said simply. A chill ran down my spine. Practice. She sealed the last equipment container and turned to face us fully. Did you think Terra Luna was an accident? The words hit the laboratory like a physical force. Every being present went completely still. Impossible, Zeth Prime whispered. The reports, your daughter, my daughter, Maya said, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper, was never at Terra Luna during the experiment. The revelation struck me like a quantum torpedo to the neural cortex. I accessed the incident reports in my memory banks, scanning for details I had missed. There it was, buried in the technical appendices. Elena Torres had been listed as a casualty, but her body had never been recovered, never been found because there had been nothing left to find after the quantum field destabilized. Or so we had been told. Elena is alive, I said, not really believing my own words. Maya's smile returned, and this time it was warm and genuine and utterly terrifying. Elena is safe, she confirmed. Hidden somewhere, the hegemony will never find her. Along with complete backups of all my research, detailed instructions for replicating the quantum extraction process, and very specific orders about what to do if anything happens to me. Thessic's voice crackled through the speakers, thick with rage. You staged your own daughter's death? I staged the destruction of Terra Luna to make it look like an accident, Maya replied calmly. Elena's apparent death was a necessary deception. The hegemony needed to believe I was broken, desperate, and alone. That I had nothing left to lose and everything to gain from cooperating with your benevolent guidance. She gestured toward the viewport, where the expanding debris field that had once been Kepler 442c's moon was still visible as a faint, glittering cloud. It never occurred to you that someone capable of accidentally destroying a research facility might be perfectly capable of intentionally destroying other things. Captain Rex 7's voice interrupted from the bridge. Dr. Torres, we are receiving priority communications from Hegemony Command. They are demanding immediate explanations. I imagine they are, Maya said. Please put them through. The main display activated, showing the emergency session of the Galactic Hegemony Council. All 57 member species were present. Their various faces, eye stalks, and communication appendages focused on the camera with expressions of shock, rage, and barely controlled panic. Dr. Maya Torres, High Chancellor Vex-9, spoke for the Assembly, his voice carrying the authority of 12 star systems. You stand accused of the unprovoked destruction of civilian infrastructure, the murder of approximately 4,000 mining personnel, and acts of terrorism against the hegemony. Maya tilted her head thoughtfully. 4,000? That seems high. Most of the platforms should have been automated. Automated or not, Vex-9 continued. You have violated every treaty, every protocol, every civilized standard of conduct in this galaxy. Surrender yourself immediately, and we may consider life imprisonment instead of molecular disintegration. That's very generous, Maya said sincerely. But I'm afraid I have a counter-proposal. The council chamber erupted in angry chatter, but Vex-9 raised a primary appendage for silence. The hegemony does not negotiate with terrorists. Then it's fortunate that I'm not a terrorist, Maya replied. I'm a scientist, and as a scientist I'm prepared to share my research with the entire galaxy, under the right conditions. Explain yourself. Maya activated a holographic display showing the complete technical specifications of her quantum extraction system. The equations, the power requirements, the precise calibration sequences, everything the hegemony had been trying to acquire. This technology, she announced, will be freely available to any civilization that agrees to certain humanitarian standards. Thessic's 4 eyes widened in horror. You cannot simply release such dangerous knowledge. Can't I? Watch me. Maya began transmitting the data across multiple communication channels simultaneously. I'm sending the complete research package to every major scientific institution, every academic network, and every independent research facility in known space. Stop her! Vex-9 roared. Computer, execute Protocol 7, Maya said calmly. Suddenly, the transmission speed increased exponentially. The data was not just being sent to scientific institutions, it was being broadcast on every public communication frequency in the galaxy. What is Protocol 7? I asked, though I was not sure I wanted to know the answer. A little program my daughter Elena helped me design, Maya explained. It creates a cascading information distribution network. Every system that receives the data automatically forwards it to 10 more systems, and so on. And so on. By my calculations, every major civilization in the galaxy will have complete access to quantum gravitational manipulation technology within approximately 6 hours. The implications were staggering. Democratizing such dangerous technology would fundamentally alter the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Smaller civilizations would suddenly possess the ability to defend themselves against larger powers, or to destroy planets, or to reshape entire solar systems according to their whims. You are creating chaos, Zeth Prime screamed. I'm creating balance, Maya corrected. For too long, power in this galaxy has been concentrated in the hands of a few dominant species. The hegemony, the Zetherian Empire, the Crystalline Confederation, all of you deciding the fate of smaller worlds without consultation or consent. She gestured toward the data stream still flowing from her equipment. Now everyone gets to play. Vex-9's communication appendages were trembling with rage. You have doomed the galaxy to war. Species will use this technology to destroy each other. Possibly. Maya agreed. Or they'll realize that when everyone has the power to destroy worlds, perhaps it's better to find ways to cooperate instead. What's the human phrase? Mutually assured destruction. This is madness. This is justice. Maya's voice hardened. Every world you have relocated, every civilization you have restructured, every species you have guided into extinction, they all deserve the right to defend themselves. Now they have it. I found myself speaking before I could stop myself. But the technology is dangerous. In the wrong hands. Whose hands are the right hands? Maya interrupted. Yours? The Council's? Who appointed you the guardians of galactic civilization? She had a point. A terrifying, undeniable point. Dr. Torres, Vex-9 said, clearly struggling to maintain diplomatic composure. Perhaps we can reach an accommodation. The hegemony is prepared to offer New Brisbane full colonial protection status, plus significant compensation for any inconvenience. That's very kind, Maya said, but I'm afraid the situation has evolved beyond New Brisbane. She activated another display, this one showing a star map of human colonies throughout the galaxy. Dozens of worlds scattered across multiple sectors, all pulsing with soft blue light. I have been in contact with the colonial governments on 47 human worlds, Maya announced. They are all very interested in quantum gravitational manipulation technology, particularly the defensive applications. The blood drained from my extremities as I realized what she was implying. You are arming them, I whispered. I'm educating them, Maya replied, using the same phrase she had employed earlier. The same way the hegemony educated me about the fragility of the things we love, Fisik's voice returned, now carrying a note of desperation. Dr. Torres, surely you realize that if every human colony possesses this technology, other species will view humanity as a threat. You could trigger a galactic war. Maya was quiet for a long moment, her expression thoughtful. You know, she said finally, 6 months ago, that would have terrified me. The idea that my actions might lead to conflict, that people might die because of choices I made, it would have kept me awake for cycles. She turned toward the viewport where the debris field continued to expand. But then I realized something. People are already dying. Entire civilizations are already being destroyed. The only difference is that now it will be a fair fight. Fair? Zith Prime sputtered. There is nothing fair about planetary annihilation. No, Maya agreed sadly. There isn't. Just ask the Terran colony of Sigma Draconis. Oh wait, you can't. The hegemony relocated them to make room for a Zephyrian resort complex. 3 million people, forced to abandon everything they had built because their world had aesthetic potential. She pulled up another display, this one showing a beautiful blue-green world orbiting a yellow star. Or ask the inhabitants of Kepler 18.6 FEC. Except you can't ask them either, because they all died when the hegemony decided their atmospheric processors were inefficient and needed to be replaced. Amazing how many people died during that optimization process. More displays activated, showing world after world, each one a monument to the hegemony's idea of benevolent guidance. 37 human colonies have been relocated, restructured or optimized in the past 5 years, Maya continued. That's approximately 18 million people whose lives were deemed inconvenient for galactic progress. And those are just the human settlements we know about. I felt sick. I had reviewed those relocation reports myself, filed them under administrative efficiency without ever considering the individual lives affected. So yes, Maya said, turning back to face the council display, there might be war, there might be destruction, there might be chaos. But for the first time in centuries, it won't be the strong preying on the weak while everyone else watches and pretends it's natural law. Vex-9 leaned forward, his massive form dominating the screen. And if that war consumes the galaxy, if billions die in the chaos you have unleashed. Maya's expression did not change, but I saw her hands clench slightly. Then billions will die fighting for their freedom instead of being murdered for someone else's convenience. I can live with that.
Can you?
The question came from an unexpected source. Dr. Y3, who had been silent since the demonstration began. Can you really live with the knowledge that your pain, your loss, your need for revenge has doomed countless innocents? For the first time since the demonstration began, Maya Torres looked genuinely shaken. Her composure cracked just slightly, revealing the grieving mother underneath the brilliant strategist. My daughter, she said quietly, asked me once why people let bad things happen to good people. I told her that sometimes good people have to make hard choices to protect the ones they love. She straightened, and the steel returned to her voice. Elena is 13 years old now. She's growing up in a galaxy where her value as a sentient being is determined by the economic convenience of her existence, where entire civilizations can be erased because someone else has a better use for their resources. Maya gestured toward the star map still showing human colonies. I will not let that continue. Not for her. Not for anyone. So you would rather see the galaxy burn? Thesic demanded. Maya considered the question seriously. If the choice is between watching the galaxy burn and watching it slowly strangle every small civilization to death, yes, I would rather see it burn. The communication went silent. For nearly a full minute, 57 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy sat in stunned silence, trying to process the implications of what they had just heard. Finally, Vex 9 spoke. Very well, Dr. Torres. You have made your position clear. The hegemony will consider your concerns. Maya smiled again, and this time it was neither warm nor terrifying. It was simply tired. No, High Chancellor, you'll adapt to them. Because you no longer have a choice. She began shutting down the communication array. Wait, Vex 9 called out. What are your terms? What do you want? Maya paused, her hand hovering over the final control. I want my daughter to grow up in a galaxy where she doesn't have to choose between being safe and being free. I want every parent, every child, every being with hopes and dreams and plans for the future to have the same chance at self-determination that you have always claimed for yourselves. She looked directly into the camera. And I want you to remember that the next time you consider whether someone's life is worth less than your convenience. The communication cut off. In the silence that followed, I found myself staring at Maya Torres with a mixture of awe, terror, and something that might have been respect. She had just declared war on the established order of the galaxy, and she had done it with the calm precision of someone solving a mathematical equation. Dr. Torres, I said carefully, what happens now? She finished packing her equipment and turned toward the laboratory exit. Now we go home. I have a daughter to hug, and you have reports to write. And the galaxy? Maya paused at the doorway. The galaxy will figure itself out. It always has. The only difference is that this time everyone gets to participate in the conversation. She left, her footsteps echoing down the corridor with the measured pace of someone who had completed an unpleasant but necessary task. I remained in the laboratory for several hours, staring out at the debris field that had once been a moon, trying to understand what I had witnessed. A single human, motivated by loss and love and an unshakable belief in justice, had just reshaped the balance of power in known space. 6 months later, the first reports began arriving. Human colonies were successfully defending themselves against forced relocations. Smaller civilizations were forming defense pacts backed by quantum gravitational technology. The Zephyrian Empire had cancelled 3 major expansion projects after their advanced fleets encountered unexpected resistance. The hegemony was still the most powerful force in the galaxy, but they were no longer the only force. The age of unquestioned dominance was over, and somewhere in the vast cosmos, a 13-year-old girl named Elena Torres was growing up in a galaxy where being small no longer meant being helpless. Maya Torres had been right about one thing. When everyone has the power to destroy worlds, cooperation becomes far more attractive than conquest. The galaxy did not burn. It learned to negotiate. Looking back, I realized that we should have seen it coming. We had all the data, all the evidence of what humans were capable of when pushed to their limits. We had studied their history, their psychology, their capacity for both compassion and violence. But we made the same mistake that countless species had made before us. We confused their pain for weakness. We thought that because Maya Torres was grieving, she was broken. We thought that because she was alone, she was powerless. We thought that because she was human, she was manageable. We were wrong on all counts. And in the end, that mistake cost us an empire and gave the galaxy something it had not possessed in centuries: hope. Maya Torres never did get her colonial protection status for New Brisbane. She got something far more valuable instead. She got a galaxy where colonial protection status was no longer necessary. Because sometimes when you threaten someone's world, they don't just save their world, they save everyone's.